This piece is about James Polk, and it was inspired by Howard Zinn, one of my heroes. I have been studying the people's history of the United States, for example, a lot to do my work, and Howard was comparing the many lies that were required to get us into wars, and he went all the way back to James Polk in the mid-1800s when we stole a lot of Mexico and turned it into many southwestern states. So I decided to do a diptych with Polk and George W. Bush, and the titles sort of hold these two in equal balance. James Polk observes the massacre of Mexicans, and over here George W. Bush observes the massacre of Iraqis. As a matter of fact, in the newspaper article that was in the Taos News recently about my work, there was a picture of one of my paintings, and the title was pretty inflammatory, and it really talked about George as a governor and his attitude towards capital punishment. And the title of the piece was George and Laura attend the execution of 10,000 Iraqis. And so it's a play of capital punishment. The newspaper chose to censor that and just call it the execution, which was ironic because I had just been censored from showing my work at all at the Southside Bean. But all in all, it's been actually quite useful because it encourages people to look at what I'm doing, and to possibly an important next step would be to think about the significance of war making. This piece about Harry Truman was one of my first. It occurred to me that some presidents, when they get old and gray and they don't have Alzheimer's, they choose to look back with different eyes on the work that they've done, on the wars that they've been involved in, on the policies that have affected people so hugely, and that possibly Harry Truman looked back on Hiroshima. I doubt it, but in his heart of hearts, perhaps he did. And I think that it is valuable to put that out and suggest that maybe he did. This one is about Richard Nixon. As Richard aged and got paunchy, I started to feel it's much easier for me to feel compassion for people who have done their damage in the past, and they're not as powerful as they are anymore. Also, I realized that as people age, their concept of reality simplifies, and the rationalizations and the funny little details disappear, and you start to really get it. My grandmother was like that. My great aunt is like that. People are like that. So I imagine that Dick Nixon was like that too. And as I painted him, thinking about Vietnam, I've done a lot of Vietnam paintings because it was really important to me in my life. I've got several paintings of Lyndon Johnson. But as Dick got to be an old man, he forgot what the reasons, those great explanations for why we were in Vietnam. What that really means is that there were no reasons for Vietnam, and all that loss of life and all that suffering and that destruction of a whole culture. And he knows it as an old man.